Alright, video number 1000, which is a bit surreal to say, but here we are. Now, I did mention earlier in the week that I was going to do probably multiple videos to celebrate 1000 videos, and that's mainly just because it's going to be very difficult to fit all the footage I want to show into one video, because it'll end up being multiple hours long. And this video is probably going to be 40 minutes plus. And I think I'm going to have to record the commentary in shifts and just stitch them all together after the fact. So for part one, what we're going to do is we're going to go round all the static packs and we're going to play a game in all 6 of them. It's weird, to think back at the very beginning. There were only 2 packs, and the vast majority of people only played Turtle. So those first few 100 hours of Super Auto Pets was mostly just playing Turtle Pack, which, now is really strange to think about, but there was so much entertainment value to be extracted out of it way back then. And I guess for a lot of people who are just joining the game now, there's still plenty of good stuff in Turtle as well. So one of my favourite things to do in Turtle Pack has always been playing Front Badger. I did have a bunch of different attempts at trying to record something slightly different in Turtle Pack. One of the downsides of trying to play Turtle in terms of trying to get unusual teams as well, it's been out for so long. Almost all of the original teams have been done already. But also, I think it's well established exactly what you're supposed to do in order to win in Turtle Pack. So when you get towards the end game, there are very few teams that are actually doing anything atypical. And so if you are doing something atypical, that gives you a much lower chance of winning. Not that I was particularly bothered if I didn't win this run, I just wanted to get some fun clips. And of course, because there are more static packs, if you play against all packs, you can get some more interesting matchups. So there we end up playing against Danger Pack. And also here we've got the double Squirrel going. Squirrel is one of those units that I think it's still pretty good. I just very rarely ever take it. But when you have the worm set up like this, and the squirrels have lower attack, you can make sure that the apples that the worms are creating are always cheaper. And a lot of the time when you get to the later game, you don't want to be buying the apples from the worm anyway, because they're not really that good value anymore. But when you're getting them for 1 gold or even free, then it's a much easier decision to make. So here we get the 2 pairs essentially. It's kind of funny really that you have 2 items in the game that have exactly the same effect. So Better Apple is +2/+2, which is exactly the same as Pear. Yeah, kind of strange when you think about it. Now here we end up facing Butterfly, or Caterpillar rather. One of my least favourite units in the game, but we do manage to eke out the draw. And I think, we'll just keep on buying the apples. I'm not sure really in video 1000 if it's necessary for me to actually do commentary on these kinds of runs, because I feel like at this point the majority of my viewership are people who have been playing the game a long time. We do of course still get new subscribers, but it's slowed to a trickle for quite some time, and I'm okay with that. I understand that there are a lot of people who probably find Super Auto Pets at this stage difficult to get into, and maybe at some point we'll try making like a tutorial or something, how to play Super Auto Pets in 2025, and try and hook some new people that way. I'm slightly fearful of making a tutorial though, because the last time I did one, and this is years ago now, I made like an hour-long tutorial, and then a week later, before the video came out, they updated the UI. So I had to just ditch that video altogether. Maybe I should ask the developers if there are any UI changes planned in the near future, and then I can think about doing a tutorial video. But here we also pick up Tiger. Now it's something I mention a lot playing customs, that I don't like Tiger, but in Turtle Pack you obviously have the classic Tiger plus Badger combo, which I think probably went under the radar for a very, very long time. Badger, I guess in general, people were always just playing it at the back of their team at the beginning of the game. and then putting honey on it. The original mechanics for pets fainting were a bit different, so you could get some weird interactions where you had badger versus badger and it wouldn't be a tie. I'm sure if you go way back to the beginning and look at some of my old videos, there will be some clips like that. You just have to be wary that the quality is going to deteriorate quite significantly the further back you go. But yeah, you can see how devastating it is. And I think this is really like one of the strongest points of Turtle Pack is the strength of the tier 3s and how so many of them, at least in Arena, you can just keep for the whole game. And they their abilities are relevant even when you get up to the very end of the game. And you can see that previous round where the Badger just absolutely devastated those backline units on that Star Pack team. And again here, it's not going to be very... it's going to be fairly easy, I think, for us to win. Yeah, okay, it was close, but to be fair, we aren't exactly playing the most optimal team. Imagine if you had this Badger team, and then you add in some more sensible units like Skunk or just, a better tier 6 scaler instead of a Worm plus double Squirrel. Probably not even really necessary to get Badger to level 3. Actually, I guess maybe something I can talk about in this sequence of videos to do with the 1000 is some of the videos that I've enjoyed in the past. And definitely there have been some kind of pioneering Badger videos. There have been multiple 5-of-a-kind Badgers in Turtle Pack that people got before I did. That was a real eye-opening video, one of those. I forget who actually did it, but I will try and link it in the description if I can find it. Now here on the last turn, because I guess I wasn't happy enough with the meme quotient of this team, I wanted to try and get another Badger and pill it to try and get the permanent coconut on the Gorilla, and then it would be able to survive the blast from the Badger fainting. I guess I could have also just looked for a Hedgehog and put the Hedgehog at the front, but it doesn't look like we're going to get it. So I think I just take the level 2 Tiger and then maybe just put the Gorilla at the back. Yeah, probably should have been thinking ahead about that. I guess I was autopiloting in this particular game instead of really thinking about what the final team was going to look like. And then on turn 16 here, we get matched with level 3 Cobra, one of the perils of playing against all packs, and the Badger team self-destructs. Alright, now we move on to Puppy Pack. And I suppose we should also mention that originally Puppy Pack was quite different to the way it is now. If you've joined the game in the last year or so, this pack got reworked quite significantly a while back. Originally, it was kind of like just an extension of Turtle Pack in the sense that most of the units were from Turtle and then there was a sprinkling of new ones just to kind of shake things up a little bit. It did play differently to Turtle, but overall, it was mostly just a scaling pack. Now, you could argue that the current version of Puppy is mostly just scaling as well, which is definitely a legitimate complaint, but it certainly has much more variety in terms of what the previous version of Puppy had. And I think especially since the other packs, the bar has kind of been raised every time they've released a pack, all the way up to Unicorn, where the number of pets that were being released each update was just increasing and increasing. Thankfully, they've slowed down a bit on that because I think it was kind of unnecessary to release so many pets in such a short space of time. I guess reworking Puppy Pack kind of made it seem more appealing. And originally it was just there as the sort of default expansion, I guess, and that it wasn't too different. And ultimately the $5 price tag, because it is the only pack in the game that is cheaper than the others, probably didn't feel justified anymore given how much value you got for buying the other packs. Not that it made any difference to me. I mean, I'm going to buy every single pack regardless of whether or not it has a lot of new units. Hopefully going to be some more mini packs coming out for customs, because there are lots of areas I would like to see expanded. So it's a puppy pack game. We're going to have to do something with anglerfish. And yeah, I guess we're also using 2 of the new units here. And I say new, of course Bat isn't a new unit, but its ability was changed quite significantly. And although it is a nerf in terms of custom packs, I think honestly I prefer it this way in Puppy Pack. When it goes off after attack instead of start of battle, that means that if you have opposing teams that have Tar or Toucan and so on, you can actually, or Snapping Turtle, you can remove the perk after it's already been passed back, which is something that old Bat just couldn't do. Which I guess made it much better in customs and much weaker in its own pack, which is kind of weird to think about. I suppose it really should be the other way around. But yeah, we're also scaling up these anglerfish because we have the dromedary. And I think at this point I'm going to try and steal something from the other team. Yep, it was a danger pack team, so we're going to try and steal something good, and we get geometric tortoise. In fact, we get it both times, so we can go for the instant level 2, or we could run 3 separately. But I think I'm just going to take one of them and then keep the other ones frozen, or keep one of them frozen and let the dromedary cook it. Or put it in the back to tank, as we used to say back at the beginning of Super Auto Pets. When NL was on my daily watch list for SAP content. Yeah, I guess maybe we could talk about that as well, is that, you know, since it's been so many years at this point, there are a lot of creators that have swapped games, or they've, or maybe they were variety creators in the originally, and so eventually they're going to have to give up playing SAP anyway. But there are plenty of creators way back at the beginning who have done loads of awesome videos. A lot of them are still relevant, even if some of the pet abilities have changed. There are lots of crazy runs, especially stuff that is no longer possible for balance reasons. I'll link some more of them in the description as well. And there is a list of SAP creators, past and present, on my website as well, which I'll also link in the description. It's just I guess I don't really promote the website very much. It's probably more used by people like myself who are playing customs all the time, trying to keep track of which challenges have been done. But there's a lot of useful tools on there as well for anyone playing the game. You know, tools for creating packs, for randomizing. I probably should link the website in every single description, but I just have never bothered. So back to the run, turn 15 here, we end up matching a 50-50 Mantis team. Are we going to be okay here? I guess the geometric tortoise ability is extremely strong in this context because it lets us snipe back and remove one of the salmon. To be honest, I think geometric tortoise is pretty broken. I was a little bit suspect of it when it was being tested, but to be honest, I think maybe the fact that it was an ability I'd been expecting to see in the game for a long time and it was finally available, maybe kind of blinded me to how strong it actually was. I think it's also not as strong in Danger Pack itself because it just doesn't have the the super powerful scaling options that you can get in other packs. So now we're on turn 17, and although Puppy Pack generally does have a very strong late game, we've kind of abandoned scaling at this point, and we're just hoping that the geometric tortoise ability is going to carry us. Really should have gotten rid of the Bilby a long time ago, but I was keeping it specifically because I knew this this run was going to be used in the video if we could get it over the line. Or at least get to the end and have a spectacular final losing battle. But we have 2 hearts here, so we're in decent shape. And then we face this very, very low-statted Danger Pack team. The Bat's ability gets completely soaked up by all of the white ochre, but it doesn't matter because their units were all fairly small, which means we claim the victory with a couple of pets left. Alright, moving on to Star Pack. Now, Star Pack is similar to Puppy in the sense that most of the time I spend in there these days, I'm trying to get runs involving units from outside of the pack. And with the change to Stork in the last update, there are more options to do that. Because now you can get non-Star Pack pets from Pilling Stork. And basically anything is on the table except from tier 6s. Now, in theory, you could get the tier 6s via Pilling Stork and getting Fly Trap or something like that. But yeah, in terms of tier 6s, you can still, of course, get the faint tier 6s from Orca. But honestly, in this game, I was specifically looking for certain pets in the early tiers. I did have some games where I got a trumpet pet and then a trumpet generator as well. But it does take quite a bit of effort and investment to get any of these out-of-pack pets in the first place. And so most of those runs just fizzled out completely. But this one we end up getting Sphinx. Now, Sphinx is technically usable in Star Pack, but you would need to get Waffle from Dumbo Octopus. Now, I think at this point that was on my mind, but I'm not sure if we've rolled past any Dumbo Octopuses at this point. At some point, though, I do end up just giving up on that idea and decide that I'm willing to accept any run where I get an out-of-pack unit over the line, or at least very close. There have been a lot of games recently where even though I've lost on 9, the final battle has just been absolutely hilarious. So yeah, a fair few of them are going to be featured in some of the other videos that are going to be coming up to celebrate the 1000 video milestone. So Pug is a unit that I used to take all the time, and I mean, it used to be a tier 2, and everyone used to take it because it was so strong. I still think it is very strong, but I guess some of the changes in the pack have kind of toned it down. The most common strategy used to be taking Pug with Stego. So then on turn 9, if you leveled into your Stego, you would immediately be able to have, what would it be, plus 18, which is pretty nasty. But then, of course, Stegosaurus was moved out to the pack. Star Pack, much like Puppy, has undergone a bit of a revamp. I'm not sure actually which pack got more units added to it. I think overall it might have been Puppy. But I think the Star Pack revamp has been quite drastic as well. Definitely a change for the better, I would say, because much like Puppy, the original Star was fairly set in terms of mostly being a scaling pack. We had wide scalers like Husky and Shoebill, and now Husky's been moved to customs only, but Shoebill is still in the pack, although it only scales one unit at a time, so it's kind of more like Stingray from Puppy Pack rather than your wide scaler of choice. I can't think of one off the top of my head. So every time I take Ibex, I'm also taking Starfruit just in case we manage to get Eggplant. But of course we can get some decent summon perks like we get the Yggdrasil fruit here. Yeah, and the Ibex brings the llama down to a very low level of health. And I think we might be able to actually win here. Yeah, because of the double pepper at the back. The classic pepper in the backline resulting in the winning by 1 HP. And we get the level up on the Pug, so the Vulture is now going to be level 3 in battle. But this is by no means a strong team, so we're definitely going to be in trouble against certain opponents. This is pretty funny. The double chocolate cake team from Golden Pack. The pepper does protect us quite a bit there, but we do lose one of the summons. And of course we did also lose the Ibex, I guess it was. but we still scrape the tie. So Pepper stays drawing, I guess. I think at this point you can definitely tell that the Sphinx is just a complete burden to the team. And to be honest, probably I should be getting rid of the Pug as well, but I do definitely have a habit of getting attached to certain early game units. Not that Pug is one of my favourites or anything, but just that, you know, you keep the unit in your team, you invest into it, and you feel like it deserves the chance to go the distance. Yeah, it's funny how I feel that way about tier 2s and 3s sometimes, but just cannot stand doing it with tier 1s. So I think at some point here am I gonna switch over so that the Vulture isn't level 3, it's the Ibex that's level 3. I think probably the Ibex reducing the stats of 3 units would be more effective than what we're doing at the moment. And yeah, we're definitely going to lose to Panther. I think we were actually on 5 hearts a couple of turns ago, so we were in pretty decent shape, but now we're on that losing trajectory where we just lose every single turn. I mean, that happens to me so often. Doesn't really bother me very much anymore. Pretty much just par for the course. Another Golden Pack Cobra team. There has been kind of like a mini revamp to Golden recently as well on the test server. We did get Bear in a recent update as well, which I think is going to feature in the next run that we look at. But I would like to see some more changes, I think. You know, Cobra, I think, is one of those units that is incredibly irritating now that Eggplant is gone. And then look at this, turn 16, we had basically no chance against any sensible team, I would say. But we get matched with Wombat, who is going for a full team of pets from outside the pack. Go back and freeze frame that team and just look at how crazy it was. Okay, moving on to Golden, and yes, indeed, we do have the Bear. Also Bulldog, because Bulldog has been changed recently too. So I think, again, much like the Puppy Pack run, my intention here was to try and use as much of the newer changes as possible. Now, there are even more changes in the works for Golden Pack on the test server, so hopefully we get to see some of that soon. Finally, there's going to be a protective equipment that can block damage. Obviously, at the moment we have Potato, or I guess since the very beginning we've had Potato and Pita Bread, both of which don't really do anything against Scorpion. And just in general, I think at this point, basically all the other packs have access to Melon. Obviously, Golden does have Crane, but the fact that you have to take a hit first before you can get the activation does make quite a big difference. I think also Golden Pack is one of the last remaining ones that doesn't have 10 pets per tier. In fact, maybe it is the only one that doesn't have 10 pets per tier. So that's been on the list to get fixed for a long time, I think. And to be honest, I don't think it's going to be too difficult to do that because there are a fair few pets in Golden Pack that do have very similar abilities, and so they probably aren't all required. But here you can see the updated Flycatcher build with Bear. Now, adding Bear to a Golden Pack was something that SAG had been asking for a long time. So it is kind of nice to see that actually going into effect. And here we win because the Bear gave a B to the Flycatcher. Although I think I still am going to take the Potato just in case there are any start of battle snipes to block. I think normally you would move away from taking Bulldog, from keeping Bulldog at this stage. But because it was one of the changed pets, I decided just to keep it for the whole game. I think I was actually looking for Surgeon Fish as well. I wanted to have Surgeon Fish giving extra health to the Bulldog to try and make the most use of the new ability. Previously, Bulldog had a kind of a strange ability in that it would set its attack to its health plus a value after every attack. And that made it kind of broken in customs. It was not good in Golden Pack itself. But also it meant that games were much slower. You know, if you had Bulldog and every time it attacked, it was setting its health, it could really slow down a lot of the early turns, and it made it one of the units that I just never wanted to buy. But now that it has a different ability, it's after first attack, so it only works once. It gains attack, but that means it's not going to lose any health. And that was really the main impediment to actually taking it in Golden Pack a lot of the time, I think. So nice to see that change. And I think at this point now I've got the level 3 Bulldog, we're just going to try and go for the achievement. Okay, we do find the Surgeonfish. Given that Bulldog is one of my least bought pets, I could be pretty certain at this point without even having to check that I don't have the achievement. And so yeah, probably here you would not see this happen very often, is selling level 2 blue-ringed octopus for Surgeonfish, but I really just wanted to feature the Bulldog ability as much as possible. And thankfully the matchmaking is still giving me more summoning teams, so the Flycatcher actually gets the trigger without the bear needing to do anything. I think if I'd had the Surgeonfish earlier, you could probably create a much stronger version of this. You know, the fact that Bulldog no longer loses the health after the subsequent hits makes it much more appealing to keep long term. Although to be honest, I've only seen 1 or 2 people doing it, and I guess that's probably because Golden Pack has a lot of strong stuff in the late game. So, and I guess also because of the fact that the protective equipment isn't as good, means it's generally just better to go for teams like this one that we see on the opposing side from Jules. Not actually very often that I see Jules in Arena, so nice for that to happen for a change. And we end up losing against the Saiga Antelope. I don't think I'm going to go for level 3 bear, or maybe I am. No, I think I really just want level 2 Surgeonfish. But I guess I'm going to freeze the bear because there's nothing else I really want to buy. Another unicorn team. Vampire Bat hits the flea, which is great because we don't really care about it. And then the Jurian on the bear manages to reduce the health of the Mothman. I think Jurian is one of those perks that I don't take enough. I think it's definitely stronger than I thought it was originally. But yeah, I often feel like sacrificing a perk slot for it isn't worth it, but that's probably just a personal bias rather than an actual assessment of the strength of it in game. Another unicorn team, but as soon as I switch to the potato, they've got level 3 Ghost Kitten in the back, so they actually completely block the damage from it, and the Flycatcher is going to hit the Ghost Kitten for even more insult to injury. I'm not sure if that could have been different if I just kept if the Flycatcher had sniped differently, but oh well. We've still got a couple of hearts, and it finds another unicorn team for us. Now it is a summoning team, however the summoning teams in Unicorn can often be a bit difficult for this kind of build to go against, because clearly Flycatcher is going to struggle to knock out a gigantic Nessie boat. And we lose again, so down to 1 heart. It wouldn't be a meme run if we didn't go down to 1 heart. We get the level 3 Surgeonfish, which is nice, but at this stage of the game it doesn't really make a huge amount of difference. And then it provides this opponent a fellow Golden Pack player with Fire Ant inside Beluga. The Flycatcher is going to go nuts sniping all of these pets and flinging them off the screen. Actually another level 3 Saiga Antelope, which I suppose isn't surprising on turn 16. But yeah, it's going to be a draw. So I thought for a second there, because there were so many summons on the other side, that we had a good chance to win, but unfortunately it was not to be. I guess here actually the team is kind of a little bit anti-synergistic in that we have the flea and then we have the bear. So the flea gives weakness and then the bear replaces it. But then look at this on turn 17, we get matched up again with our old friend Wombat from this Star Pack run with 5 completely out of pack units. Actually Surgeonfish on Wombat's board as well, which is pretty funny. I think I realistically had no chance there unless I got matched up with a fellow meme builder. and we get the Bulldog achievement. So how long ago did Golden Pack actually come out? Like, it must be over 2 years ago, and I finally get the achievement for Bulldog. So on to Unicorn next. This is a game played on my phone. I was trying to record, although I've got tons of videos recorded in advance, I don't really have very many runs saved of Static Pack games. And I really wanted the first video in this sort of mini-series celebration to actually have at least one game from every Static Pack. Now I do have some others which might feature later on when we do the next videos. But yeah, I really wanted to have representation for all the other packs. And so I was playing the Static Packs a bit more than normal and struggling to really get anything with Unicorn. I think Unicorn is kind of a strange pack. I mean, Jersey Devil was probably the thing that I was playing most in Unicorn, much like in Star Pack I would just play Starfish over and over. These units, you know, while they are super strong in customs, the power level is significantly lower within the pack itself, I would say. Certainly Jersey Devil was more so than Starfish. But it used to be fun just, you know, trying to create an odd team by getting the Miracle Jersey Devil setup. But of course that's not the case anymore, and the Jersey Devil was replaced by Amalgamation, which definitely another one of my favourite units, but significantly weaker in terms of setting up a strange squad, I would say. However, we do find it on Level Up here. And I think this replay bug is going to be fixed in the next update, so very much looking forward to that. So yeah, playing Unicorn Arena, like I was saying, it is a little bit strange to me. I think probably of all the Static Packs, it's the weirdest experience for Arena players. Let me know in the comments if you feel differently. Maybe there are some people who prefer playing Unicorn Arena compared to everything else. But I feel like it's pretty difficult to make unusual stuff happen in Unicorn Pack. I'm not entirely sure why that is. I guess, you know, I do like the fact that we have Cornucopia, so you can get certain items from outside the pack and potentially create more interesting teams that way. But I think it's just much less interesting overall having access to the tier 6 perks compared to some of the stuff that you see in the other packs, you know, Anglerfish and Red Panda that they've just added. What are the other ones? Orca and Stork, like we saw in the previous Star Pack run, as we end up tying here with a Bilby team. And every time I use the Unicorn ability in shop, we get the replay bug. But it looks like I'm going to get rid of it and go for this Mana Hound instead. Although I feel like that's also going to get removed from the team pretty soon. So yeah, I guess you could say that Amalgamation does kind of work similar to Jersey Devil in the sense that, you know, it's a strong pivot tool, but, you know, Jersey Devil has infinite triggers. The main problem with it in Unicorn Pack was, you know, how difficult it was to set up. Getting those level 3 units is so much tougher in Unicorn Pack than it was in Customs, or than it is in Customs, I guess. I've seen quite a few Jersey Devil players in this last week. Here we face a stats-only team, which should be pretty easy going for the Amalgamation with the Mana Snipes. Yep. And we've now got Manticore on board as well. Although it looks like I'm going to get rid of it. Yeah, okay, we're going to take the Sea Serpent with no actual mana generator except for the Amalgamations. And I think maybe here I was hoping that I was going to get Mushroom from Cornucopia, and that would let me automatically give mana to the Sea Serpent when it comes back to life. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think I'm just going to have to buy mana potions whenever I see them. Now there are some changes to Unicorn on the test server at the moment as well. There's been a lot of changes in a short period of time, so I'm not entirely sure at this moment which ones of those are actually going to appear on live, as we actually get a game where The Falcon copies a level 3 cooked roach there, which is pretty funny. But I think some of the foods are getting upgraded in Unicorn, and there might be a new unit. Whether or not it actually ends up being customs only, I'm not sure. But here, is this going to be the final turn? We actually have 4 hearts on turn 14, which is pretty unusual for me in Unicorn Pack. And no, definitely we're going to lose. Should have known that as soon as I saw that opposing team. But instead of Mushroom, we'll just take the Faint Bread. I think Faint Bread was a pretty good addition to Unicorn. I guess that's another way that you can see units from outside the pack. And I think here we're going to get Firefly. Not sure it mattered there, but the Cricket here is going to block the Salt from the Eagle, which is pretty nice. I think that might have mattered. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but I like to think that that Zombie Cricket saved the day. So, last static pack, at least for now, as of July 2025. And it's Danger Pack. Now, I've played a ton of Danger, but I'm still not sick of it yet. There's always that potential to get something crazy from Red Panda. I do also think there are some very interesting units that are maybe a little bit difficult to play with, but they can produce some pretty spectacular rounds, like Darwin's Fox. I think that's one that's kind of underexplored. And it's actually been changed recently as well, so that I think it automatically attacks the front unit if there's no other target. Maybe that change hasn't been deployed yet, I'm not sure. And I'm sure after the next patch there will be updates happening to Danger Pack. Clearly this is mostly the first version of the pack. You know, there were some very minor changes to fix some problems. But yeah, it hasn't really had the same level of work done to it after release than the other packs have, of course. So yeah, I'll be interested to see what they decide to adjust going forwards, because there's plenty of stuff that I would do personally to modify this pack, but whether or not that aligns with what the developers want to do, I'm not sure. So we take the level up here on turn 7, probably hoping for a Red Panda. I don't know if I get it in this game or not, but maybe we're going to take the Amami Rabbit here. Okay, no, we're going to take the Humphead Wrasse instead. And I think maybe we're going to just overwrite the equipment on the Shrew. Oh no, we're just going to put the Wrasse up the front. And then I take Red Panda, of course, and then we'll freeze the Chickpea as well. I think Marine Iguana is extremely powerful. Maybe a bit too strong to be tier 5. It's a very similar ability to Reindeer. And while you can't take multiples, it is still very strong being able to just instantly give the jump attacking pets a melon before they attack. So yeah, I don't know, maybe I would move that one up to tier 6 and then move something else down. Let me know in the comments if there are any units in Danger that you think are too weak or too strong. I'm always interested to hear other perspectives, especially since I've played this pack so much pre-release. So I think here I'm just going to roll down, keeping the Red Panda frozen, just looking for the opportunity to get level 2 Red Panda, and or maybe just more Vanilla Bean. Fellow Danger Pack player, I think we're maybe going to be in a bit of trouble here, because I think the II is going to get to activate. Yeah, definitely is. I think we're toast. Yep. I always like to see people playing 2 of the backline pets there, like Pygmy Hippo and II in the same team. I think on the test, that's probably something I didn't do enough of. But yeah, you definitely can play two of them. You don't have to just replace them with the higher tier version. So here on the Red Panda transformation, we get White Tiger. And I think, yeah, we're just going to play it in front of the Snow Leopard. Now, on this turn, it got the stats from the transformation. So that means that its attack is higher and it goes first. However, I think on the following turn, I'm going to have to try and invest in it to make sure that it goes before the Snow Leopard on subsequent turns. White Tiger is one of those units that I feel like almost deserves to be in a static pack. I think it's just a fun design. You know, it's strong, but it's not too strong. I mean, it was too strong when it was first created, but it got toned down, and now I think it's in a good spot. And it does create some fun interactions like this, and also having to manage the attack values. I think it makes for interesting play. Lucky breakpoint here, I think, with the summons from the Chimera, and we get the victory. And now I really just want level 2 White Tiger to instant level 3 both the Leopard and the Wrasse. And there's the chocolate. I think probably turn 12, 7 trophies, trying to get level 3 White Tiger is asking a bit much. And then I guess we would also just have to sell the Macaw at the back, which is still giving relevant amount of stats to the Shrew at the front. And Snow Leopard level 3 gains a huge amount of stats when its ability goes off. So I'm not actually sure how many it is. Is it plus 18? It's an 8 to 10 at the moment. It's going to get plus 3 experience from the White Tiger, which puts it up to 11, 13. So I guess we'll see in the next battle how much it gets. Oh, well, we would have done if the Wrasse hadn't been given silly by the Pandora's box. That was a bit unfortunate. But I think actually the stat gain on the Leopard is going to be good enough, yeah. So we're almost at the end of phase 1 of the 1000 videos celebration. There probably are going to be at least 2 more videos. I don't know if it'll be this week or next. We're going to do one with a bunch of customs runs, of course. But I think there will also be one with some sort of collaboration type videos, or at least footage from other players. Hopefully some creators. I haven't specifically asked anyone for stuff, but you know, all the usual suspects. If you guys have any clips that you want me to feature, just let me know in Discord, and I'll be happy to include them. It's a Danger Pack v Danger Pack matchup for the win. And although they do have level 3 Green Sea Turtle in the back, they just didn't have high enough attack to make use of it. So there we go, 6 runs in the 6 static packs. Look out for part 2 soon, which will probably be a customs mega mix.